I cannot stand Mr. Baseball.
Oh, you son of a bitch.
I knew it.
Here we go.
Yeah, I tried to throw a little bit back.
Love that logo, love that jersey, love that color scheme, everything about it. Welcome to episode 69 of the Not Another Sports podcast. My name is Jason.
I'm David.
And this is the home of sports talk for the average Joe.
You had to emphasize that, didn't you, though? You had to emphasize
the
number.
I had to, yeah.
I figured.
We wouldn't be friends if one of us didn't.
You're right. One of us was going to do it.
So, David, why don't you lead off with our first half topic?
Well, the Stanley Cup finals are not 100% set at this moment. It could be by the time people listen to this, because I believe Game 5 for the Stars and the Knights are tomorrow, I want to say. But I have a feeling the Knights are going to pull this one out because there's only a select few teams that come back from a 3-0 deficit of any sport. And that's not a very long list.
Right.
At all. Because, I mean, let's put it this way. Hockey has 4 that has done it. So
the Maple Leafs in 42, the Islanders in 75, the Flyers in 2010, and the Kings in 2014.
And in baseball, you had the 04 the Red Sox. So, I mean, is it possible? Yes. I mean, is it possible? Yes. But odds of doing it, very slim. I mean, it may be a 4-2 series win. It may go to Game 7, but rare. So I'm kind of picking the Knights just to say, hey, finals, because they haven't. The Knights were last there in 18. The Stars, I believe, were last there. I know it was recent. 21, I want to say.
Okay.
Give me a second. I'm having a brain fart. Because the Panthers haven't been there since 96. So that's
Were they kind of the sleeper pick, the one no one really expected to get there?
What, the Panthers?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because think about it, they were down 3-1 against the Bruins, who were picked to basically win the whole thing because they had the best record. They had a record season in wins. They were 40-some, pretty much between the Bruins and the Panthers, there was a 40-some point difference between the two. I mean, the Panthers just made the playoffs. They would be considered the 8th seed, from my understanding. So for the Panthers to knock off the Bruins was a huge upset to begin with. A huge upset. The 2019-20 season is when they were in the finals. Because they have 3 conference championships, and the last one was the 2019-2020 season.
Let me ask you this, and this goes more towards you and your knowledge of hockey history. Are the Golden Knights one of, if not the most successful expansion teams just right out of the gate?
No. Because, I mean, okay, yes, they made it to the final. Okay, yes, they made it to the finals in 18, but they lost to the Kings, to the Capitals.
Well, I'm saying, like, from 17 to now, they've pretty much been a threat.
Now, let me ask you this, though. I'm sorry for jumping the gun here. What era are you looking at?
I'm just talking overall because expansion teams in sports, as a rule, aren't very competitive in their formative years of play, and the Golden Knights seem to be very competitive immediately. I mean, their first season, they won a division championship.
Thing
That's
is, though,
very unheard of for an expansion team.
When you get, they even said it when they even put the team together for the Knights, that it basically was a bunch of misfits, and to prove a point. And they did very well. They did prove a point on that. And doing a second trip to the playoffs, or I should say, trying to get to the finals. Yeah. I mean, for this era, yeah, it is a successful expansion team. I mean, I feel the Flyers were a successful expansion team back in the 70s. I mean, they didn't come in till 67, but they made good runs. For the modern era, yeah, they are a good expansion. They are a top expansion. I mean, Seattle tried to make their run to the Cup this year. They knocked out the defending champs. So, yeah, I mean, they are a successful expansion for this era.
Okay.
But I think right now the sleeper team, I feel in general right now, are the Panthers.
Now, do you think they're... Go ahead.
Because I just think nobody expected them to beat the Bruins to begin with, and they've carried that momentum throughout, even sweeping the Hurricanes.
And that was going to be my fault. My question was, do you think it's because they have the momentum at the moment?
Yeah. I mean, think about it.
They're the hot hand.
Any team can make the playoffs. It's just when they get hot at the right moment.
Well, I'm aware of that.
Because, the Phillies last year. Nobody expected them to get past the Cardinals. The Kings, when they won their first cup, nobody expected them to do it because they just barely, they made the playoffs, 8th seed. They went on to win the whole thing. So it's when you get hot at the right moment. And that's the best part about the playoffs. Because, like I said, nobody expected Florida to beat Boston, who had a record season. And then nobody expected Seattle, since we were talking expansion, to knock off Colorado, who were the defending champs. So it's going to be at least in the finals, if Vegas wins, which I'm pretty sure they will, at least it's going to be a team going to win the cup for the first time.
Right.
Because
so it'll be historic in that sense.
Because Dallas, they won a cup in '99. That was their last one. On the controversial goal from Brett Hull. I mean, I think it should be a good finals, no matter who's in it right now. Whether it's whether it's Vegas or Dallas versus Florida. Either way, I think it's going to be a good season. I should say a good series.
Okay. Just
because of that. Another thing I find interesting is there's two brothers are playing on Florida too.
Oh, really?
Mark Stahl and Eric Stahl, who basically just swept their brother out of the playoffs, Jordan Stahl, who was the captain of the Canes. So that had to be something. Your brother's playing on the opposite team.
I mean, that happens.
Oh yeah, I know it happened with the Niedermeyers already.
It happened last year with the Phils and the Astros in the final game of the regular season. Nick Maton played for the Phils, and his brother pitched for the Astros, and Nick got a game-winning hit off of his brother, and his brother missed the entire postseason because he punched a locker after the game because he gave up that run to his brother.
Oof, that's gotta hurt.
What a crappy way to cost yourself playing in the playoffs.
Yeah, that would definitely suck. Definitely suck for sure. Man, that. But hey, that happens. I mean, just the heat of the moment on how it is.
Right.
That's just how it is. But yeah, am I bummed the playoffs are soon over? Yeah. But playoff hockey is always the best.
It feels like it's coming to an end much quicker this year.
It's almost on schedule. Because normally the end of May, beginning of June is when the finals normally start. Somewhere around that time frame. Because if the Knights would have won, I think game 1 would have been tomorrow.
Okay.
But being they didn't, everything got pushed. So I know they set out the schedule as a what if, but here we are. Because right now, if let's say, oh come on, if the Knights win, then I think game 1 would be May 31st.
That's not bad.
So it's almost on schedule.
Now, where will that be? Where would that that game air?
See here, if Vegas wins, basically everything's going to be on TNT.
It's going to all be on TNT. There's not going to be anything on
True TV, CBC. That's then game 2. Looks like 2 through 5 are on the TNT, TBS, True TV, the Canadian stations. Then game 7 is also the same way, TNT, TBS.
Oh, so nothing's going to be on
ESPN?
ESPN or ABC, because I thought they were airing games as well.
I'm looking at the schedule right now on whether.
No, I don't doubt you.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying. I'm just reading off.
It just seems weird.
Well, don't get me wrong. That's probably just what they could fit on the page too. Who knows?
I'm saying if it's saying it's on TNT, then it's probably on TNT. And I've heard great things about TNT's coverage of the NHL. So.
Oh, it is good coverage. I actually liked watching it on TNT. Especially when
I heard it's very similar to how they handle their NBA coverage, and they do fantastic NBA coverage.
Especially when they have Wayne Gretzky on going into 4 overtimes. Yeah, he wanted it to end.
Well, he signed up for the job.
It was just funny because everything I read about those comments were like he made the post show. Like he made it just be like, just going that far and everything else. But hey, that's playoffs. Who knows when it's going to end?
Right.
During
that's the beauty of playoff hockey is it's like you've said before, it's the second season.
Yeah, and what's nice is with the second season, it's who knows when games are going to end. Because that's the beauty part with overtime. Because I think the most recent one for longest was May 18th of this year. Went 4 overtimes. That was the most recent one to challenge the overtime records.
Okay.
I think that was the 6th or 7th longest in NHL history. Was that one. The longest is still held by Detroit and the Montreal Maroons from 1936. Flyers still hold 2000 from third on from May 2000 against Pittsburgh. And what's funny though is during I think the 7 overtime one was from when the bubble.
Yeah.
And
I remember us talking about that.
And that actually almost beat out the Flyers Penguins by 2 minutes.
Jeez, by 2 minutes.
Well, the game, the marathon game was 92 minutes and 1 second. The Tampa Bay Columbus game was 90 minutes and 27 seconds. Pretty close.
Just a bit.
But no, overtime hockey can end 1 minute into the first session it could end close to the end of the 5th session for all we know.
Right.
But at least if, like I said, if Vegas wins, at least the team's going in that hasn't won a cup yet.
Yeah.
And of course, if Florida does win the cup, there's going to be rats all over the ice.
That's correct, yes.
For those of you who don't know, that was a thing back in the 90s where a player slap shot a rat in the locker room because it was charging him. I think I sent you that video, didn't I?
I don't think so, no.
Thought I did. But
I mean, that could be a whole other topic, is
it can
weird
be.
things fans have thrown onto the ice.
Oh, then that's a long list.
Is it Detroit with the squid?
Yep. Octopus, squid, yep. Yep. And then I think Nashville's a catfish.
Well, that I don't know off the top of my head. That one I would trust you more than myself.
I know Florida was the rats. I'm trying to think here. What else was? There's like a long list of.
Right.
There's a long list of probably weird things that that teams have really thrown out there. Which, that can be a topic of another day of weird things that teams have really saw on the ice. So I think the one game there was a chicken. I think so. Hard to remember. Well, I think the playoff preview, with the Stanley Cup preview here, I'm saying Florida. Because I already texted a buddy of mine who I think is going to win the Conn Smythe if Florida wins. And that's either Kachuk or Bobrovsky. You'll figure next Flyer.
Oh, boy.
Well, they leave Philly. Look what happens. And that's typical Philly of any sport.
It's predominantly pretty bad, though, for the Flyers.
Yeah, it is. It is. Players come to players come to Philly to basically retire there, and the ones that get traded away turn out to be great players then.
I'm hoping, based on what I've seen online, is that the Flyers can eventually turn it around and right the ship at some point.
Yeah, I'm hoping to. Trust me. This season was just one of those seasons I was just like, really? This is how it's going to be? Really? Yeah, it was not a very good season at all. Hey, they didn't come in dead last, but
well, that's always a plus.
So, but yeah, Stanley Cup preview. I'm saying the Knights. I mean, if the Stars come out and win this, okay, we're wrong. We made, then they made history. But chances of the Stars coming back from a 3-0 deficit, slim. Can happen.
But can't happen.
So, on that note, that's the end of the first half. We'll be right back.